Coming up on Double Tap TV.
We break down Amazon's latest devices, and Steven shows us his super smart kitchen.
The latest tech.
Second place, with a total of 5 points.
Interviews.
The most useful product we can at the lowest possible price.
Accessibility.
I'm loving it, and I'm sticking with it.
This is Double Tap TV.
Well, hello there, and welcome to another edition of Double Tap TV. Mark Aflalo here with Steven Scott. Steven, how you feeling this week? I'm excited to be here.
I'm always excited to be here. I'm having the greatest of time, honestly. It's great. It's just great to be here telling people about all of this wonderful technology that is out there for blind and partially sighted people. But I also think what's wonderful is that even you, Mark Aflalo, are learning something here. Even all the knowledge you have, you are learning stuff, aren't you?
I will be learning till the day I die, I hope. And we get so many emails about people in a similar situation who are watching the show or listening to the show who are saying, wow, I didn't realize that, or I didn't realize this, or my wife is low vision, and this is something that's really cool. So do keep those emails coming and keep those tweets coming. It's feedback at AMI.ca. And of course, the Twitter address is at @DoubleTapCanada. Don't forget the hashtag, which is AskDoubleTap. So many ways to get in touch with us.
Really important to get in touch with your questions. It doesn't matter if you think it's the silliest question in the world. Get in touch. Trust me, I ask stupid questions all the time. Mark knows this.
I've always been told, and I always tell people, there is no such thing as a stupid question.
No.
If we don't know the answer, we will seek it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Steven, Amazon has released a whole bunch of new products. It's that cycle, it's that October-November cycle where everybody seems to be coming out with so much new tech, and it really excites me. And the reason I bring up Amazon is because a lot of the emails we get is about the smart speakers. And remember when we had Jenny Bovard on, we talked about her challenge about getting a smart speaker or a smart assistant into her home. And, she still hasn't made that move, and we will check in with her, I promise you, this season to see where she's at. But there are so many choices out there. My personal choice has always been the Amazon Echo ecosystem, mostly because of the maturity, because of how many skills there are and how intertwined they are and how they really focus on making sure their products work with everybody else's products.
Yeah, and I have to say, a number of people have said to me in the past, especially listeners to Double Tap Canada, I've heard people say, you always talk about the Amazon Echo. There is a thing called the Google Home. And I'm like, yeah, there is. But truth be told, the Google Home, as wonderful as it is, I just don't really know what it can do. What I love about the Amazon Echo is I can go and check a list of skills, I can enable functions on it, I can learn about new things it can do today that I didn't know it could do yesterday. I mean, I even get a weekly email from Amazon telling me all the new things it's got in it. I don't get that from Google, and I feel that's maybe a bit of a missed opportunity on their part. The Amazon Echo is a brilliant device, and a lot of blind people, not unsurprisingly perhaps, have jumped on this. Because if you think about it, it's a buttonless, screenless device. And what I love most about that is that if you have problems or you have issues with it, you can turn to anybody. You don't have to, call a special number that gets you through to the blind line. You can just ask a friend, have you got an Amazon Echo? Yeah. How do I get it to do this? And they just tell you. And that is what's brilliant about it. I think it's a real leveler in terms of bringing down the barriers between mainstream technology and those who are blind or partially sighted who struggle with new tech. Not everyone's a techie like us.
Discovery is one of those important things, and you mentioned the weekly emails that talk about new Alexa skills, but they really have gone, so far to really help you discover what's available. When they came out with the Amazon Echo Show, which is the new versions that have the screens built in, I thought about it for a second. I said, where does this fit in my life? And then I realized that you now have a screen, therefore you have access to not only things like video chat, which are the obvious ones, but now with smart home devices like my Ring Video doorbell, I can actually see who's at my door. I can actually see lyrics to songs. I can have cooking instructions that are visually demonstrated to me. So whether you have a little bit of vision or you are fully sighted, obviously there's a benefit there as well. So, adding a screen to a device like this, while it seems kind of novel because at first this was an audio-only device, really is a natural progression, is it not?
It is, and there's a hidden little feature in there that you might not know about. So if you're completely blind, you can still use the screen. Now, this blows people away because, obviously you think, well, hang on, it's a screen. How is that going to be usable? Why would it be usable? Well, it is. I'll tell you how, first of all. It is. There's a feature in there called Voice View. Now, we've talked about VoiceOver on the show. Voice View is Amazon's version of a screen reader. They have it in all their tablet devices, the Fire devices. They've got it in all of their Fire TV products as well. And also, you now have it in the Echo Show. And that is quite incredible. So, you're saying about song lyrics. Well, yeah, I can't see them on the screen, but if I tap the screen, I can listen to them along with the music, which can help, especially, that those games you might play in the house sometimes of what did he say in that song? What was that song and what was that lyric in that? You can check it out. Again, it is all there. It's all for the taking on these devices. And the ability to get access to things like the Ring Video Doorbell, all of that, absolutely brilliant. But I've got to say, Mark, there's one thing that really stands out head and shoulders, and that is the work they've done to build in support for blind and partially sighted people here. And I'll be honest, I was a bit surprised when I heard about this feature, because like you, I kind of thought, where does this sit? Where does this device sit in the whole scheme of this? I mean, I get it from a visual point of view, but from a blind person's perspective, do you need to buy one of these? Probably not. However, this new feature might change all that. It's called Show and Tell. It's a new feature that's just been launched by Amazon. It's in the US only, although the rumour is it's coming to Canada and around the rest of the world soon. And what happens is you stand up in front of your A-Lady device, and bearing in mind a number of these show devices can be found in the kitchen, you'll be able to show your Lady A, let's call her, say a can of beans. And you can say, Lady A, what am I holding? And she'll tell you, you're holding a can of beans.
Oh, that's
How
cool.
amazing is that?
That is really cool. And it's only available in the US, of course, to start, but I'm sure that's going to trickle its way down, of course, to Canada, to the UK.
That's really simple, because what they've got to do is they've got to build up the library, obviously, of all the products that are out there. That is something that will come over time. It's not far away. It'll be a matter of months, and that'll be available around the world. And that is going to make a huge difference. It's the difference between cat food and custard for dinner.
I know which one you want. You know what? So you talk about the kitchen, and everybody asks me when it comes to all these devices, where's the most useful place? And of course, if you've got a smart home, you've got those devices, there's lots of places that are useful, but I find the kitchen to be one of the most invaluable places to have one of these devices. Let's demonstrate that. Do you mind taking a little walk out of your studio? I know it's out of your comfort zone.
What? No.
But wouldn't it be cool to check how you use it in your kitchen?
Okay, I'll have to go tidy. Have we got time in the break for me just to quickly tidy the place?
You've got 90 seconds max. Is that good enough?
That's plenty, yeah. Right, okay. I'll
The
do some
magic of
stuff onto the
TV,
floor.
Stephen. The magic of TV. We can make this happen.
Okay.
We are going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we're going to be in your kitchen with you. I hope you don't feel like your space is too invaded. This is Double Tap TV. He is Stephen Scott. I am Mark Aflalo. Again, feedback at AMI.ca, at Double Tap Canada on Twitter. Hashtag is AskDoubleTap. When we come back, we're going to transport magically to Stephen Scott's kitchen.
Love Double Tap TV? Listen to AMI Audio for Double Tap Canada every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern for news and reviews on everything tech. This is Double Tap TV.
We are back on Double Tap TV. I am Mark Aflalo, and as I speak, Stephen Scott is heading on down to his kitchen, getting us all set up, and hopefully making a spot of tea at the same time to give us a tour of all the tech that makes his kitchen way more accessible. If you want to get involved, it's feedback at AMI.ca. The Twitter address is at Double Tap Canada. Use the hashtag AskDoubleTap, and right now, we will head on downstairs to Stephen Scott's kitchen.
So here I am with my beautiful cup of tea. However, there's one slight mistake I made in that I actually left the kettle for a while after I'd boiled it. And by the time I poured out the tea, it was a bit cold. So, what would you do in that situation? Well, you might stick it in the microwave. Now what I've got here is a Cobalt talking microwave. It acts in the same way as any other microwave. The key difference being it doesn't have a display. It has no screen at all. All it has is buttons. So I'm going to show you how it works. It's really, really simple. And it does some really interesting things, like it tells you when you open the door for some reason. Don't really understand why, but it does that. So if I open the door, it says door open. Isn't that nice? So I opened the door up wide. There's nothing inside. I'm just going to quickly check. No, we're all good. So I'm going to pop the cup in best I can into the center. And then I'm going to close the door over. It will then tell me the door closes. Watch.
Door closed.
There you go. So it's really bizarre. But you've got a lot of buttons on here and they all do different things, obviously. As well as being a microwave, this is also an oven grill as well. I'll be honest, I don't tend to use that feature very often. I just use this for heating stuff up. What I've done is I've put some bump-ons on some buttons just to give me some guidance to key buttons on the device that I'm going to use. So I have a bump on here which gives me 10 minutes.
1 minute.
1 minute. Never do a live demo. 1 minute. So the 10-minute one is actually to the left of that.
11 minutes.
Yeah, so that adds another 10 minutes. So these buttons I'm actually pressing are giving the time increments that you would get on another microwave, which you might use a knob or a dial for. But this is all button-led. So I can also go up in seconds.
11 minutes, 10 seconds.
If you wanted to add that on. So I've put this cup in here for 11 minutes and 10 seconds. Probably a bad idea. I can cancel that just by going to the very bottom of the device.
Cancel.
Cancelled. Great. So it's giving me that audio feedback every single time I'm doing something. So I don't have to worry, did it cancel? Did that button work when I pressed it? It's giving me that audible confirmation. Really useful. But let's say I want to put this on for 10 seconds, say. So we'll just press cancel again. I always like to be sure.
Cancel.
I always check my doors more than once when I leave the house. I'm one of those people. So I'll press the 10 seconds button, which is the one to the right of the minute.
10 seconds.
And the start button is at the very bottom right of this device. So I feel down and I've put a bump on there just to make it a bit easier for me to find in a hurry.
Start. High power microwave. 10 seconds.
So there you go. So the microwave is off boiling up the water for me, which is great. I maybe want to check as I'm going along to see just how long I've got left. Well, I can do that by pressing the button at the very top right.
4 seconds remaining.
4 seconds. There we go.
Complete.
And it even tells me it's complete. So now I know how much time I've got left without having to refer to something visual. Isn't that fantastic? So this is what I use a lot of the time for cooking my food, because it is the most accessible and easy way for me to cook in the kitchen. Now the next thing in the kitchen I'd like to show you that I think you might be interested in is my Cobalt Speechmaster talking scales. Really simple piece of kit. There's very few buttons on it apart from one which we've got a bump on, which is basically a reset button. But other than that, you don't really need buttons. Okay, there's the on-off button on the side, but that's really it. I'm going to grab just something from the pantry, and this is what I've got here, some kind of flour or whatever, who knows. But I'm just going to pop it in to it's quite a heavy bag actually. It's quite a big, heavy bag of seeds, I think it is. Let's pop that into the bowl and see what happens.
2 pounds, 3.5 ounces.
So there you go, 2 pounds, 3.5 ounces is what it's coming up as in terms of the size. I can switch it to grams if you prefer new money.
1,015 grams.
So a really simple piece of kit, and it is so effective because how would I be able to read a scale? How would I be able to use a normal scale? Well, the talking scales give me that opportunity. So if you did fancy trying out being a blind chef, well, there are technologies out there that could make it happen. Look, before we go to break, I wanted to do one more thing, and that's offer you a coffee. Now, why did I choose this coffee machine over the many different coffee machines out there? Well, first of all, let me tell you, this is an Espresso Virtuo coffee machine, and I got it for a number of reasons. Simplicity is key with everything that a blind person buys. It's really important that everything we have is accessible, but also cleanly built. And there's very few buttons on here. In fact, there's only one button at the top. And you know, it's really nice, it looks good, it's got a titanium finish, it's got silver around the edges. And what I really like about it is the water tank is quite large as well. It sits at the side. It can also actually be pushed to the back as well for aesthetic purposes. In order to use it, you use these big giant, almost fit in the palm of your hand size pods that are kind of half moon style. And what you do is you just take one of these pods and you put it inside the device, you close the lid, and you press the button at the top and the coffee pours out the front. Obviously you have to have a cup. I don't have a cup currently sitting on the mat, but I'm not going to worry about that right now because I'm not going to make you a coffee at the moment, Mark, because we've got work to do. But I am going to show you how it works. There's a little, to lift the lid, there's a little button here. I call it a button, I don't know what else you could call it, but it's a little, essentially to lift the lid, a little lever to lift the lid. Now most of the other coffee machines you have to kind of manually open. Now, I'll explain why that's a problem for a blind person in a minute. But this one does it automatically. So all I do is push this button up and it opens by itself. Now you might think, okay, right, fair enough, Stephen. This is all very fancy and all very lovely, but there are some practical benefits to this as a blind person. When I reach inside the device, and this is what I really like about these particular coffee machines from Nespresso, is that because the pods are all the same size, they only fit in one way. So you can't really get it wrong. They've got a little ridge around the half moon that you can feel, and as long as you have that at the top, a flat surface at the top, you just put it inside and it drops into place. And that's it, it's in. And then all I do is I just push down the little lid and it closes itself. Now you might have heard that noise. Well, that's the pod being cut into, and that's it. It will now make the drink when I want it to do that. The one final thing I love about this, that, I mean, aside all the obvious gadgetry and joy that comes with it, is it self-cleans itself, even with the pods. So you open up the lid later on, once you've had your coffee, and the pod disappears into a bin. Now, why does that matter to a blind person? Well, this goes back to my point about the lid lifting by itself. These pods get very, very warm. And when you're using these coffee machines, if you were to try and take that pod out, it would be very warm in your hand and you could burn yourself. Well, to avoid that issue, the Nespresso machine here takes that problem away by actually putting it all into the very back of the machine, where there's a little bin that comes out and all the pods are inside. And all I do is take that to a bin, empty it in, and that's it. So it's very safe. So Mark, no coffee for you, I'm afraid, but I hope that you've learned something about my beautiful kitchen here and how blind people live independently in the house.
You know what, Stephen, and to think that's only 3 devices in your kitchen that make it more accessible for you and smarter for you, but there are so many other ways you can use those smart speakers in your favor as well. Speaking of which, Amazon announced a whole bunch of new cool devices that we haven't talked about just yet. We're going to do that. We're going to take a quick break and, of course, get to your emails and your tweets. It is at DoubleTapCanada on Twitter with the hashtag AskDoubleTap. And don't forget the email address, feedback@AMI.ca. We'll be back in just a moment.
For more great Double Tap TV content, visit AMI.ca/DoubleTap. This is Double Tap TV.
We're back on Double Tap TV. Mark Aflalo and Stephen Scott with you. Our email address is very important now, feedback@AMI.ca, as is Twitter, at DoubleTapCanada with the hashtag AskDoubleTap. Stephen, of course, I bring that up all the time because we welcome your feedback and contributions. For example, this tweet from Matthew Wood, who writes us, "Guys, Amazon announced a lot of very cool stuff recently. Which one of those devices are your favorites?" I hate to call things my favorite, don't you?
That's a tough one, isn't it? I mean, 15 products were announced in total. It's quite hard to decide which one you might like the best. Of course, it depends on your circumstances. What were your favourites, Mark?
You know what? There's a thing called Echo Flex, which is $24 US, which is kind of cool because it allows you to put Amazon Echo in almost any room you want. As long as it has a power outlet, you plug it in, it has a built-in microphone and a built-in speaker, but even better, it also has a built-in USB port at the bottom that you can either use to charge a device if you want to charge a device, or you can use some of these add-on modules that they have, one of which is really cool, which is like a night light. So it actually kind of glows in the hallway. And I like this because I like adding these capabilities throughout my home, but I don't necessarily want a full-blown speaker answering to me all the time. So I thought that one was really cool, and I found that the new Echo Dot with the built-in clock in the front, the little LED clock, was really neat because it's at your bedstand anyway. You don't necessarily want a screen and a camera in your room, so what better way to add an alarm clock than adding a device like that?
Yeah, well, all of those are terrible, Mark. You know, well, they are. I mean, look, I have to be honest with you. For me, it's only one thing I'm interested in. Right? Listen, if I would probably buy all of them anyway, if I'm honest. But the one that I am really interested in is the Echo Studio. Now, this is a new speaker, a new Echo speaker with Lady A, as I like to call her, built in. She's called Alexa. I love it because it's got 3D sound in it, apparently, which is even better sound, even more immersive sound that you will get thanks to the new Amazon Music HD service. Apparently 50 million tracks will be in high quality, high definition. In fact, they're already in that high quality, high definition, which is amazing. Currently, you could only listen to that on something like an Apple HomePod or a Sonos piece of kit, which is very expensive. Whereas this is retailing at $199. I think this is going to be very interesting for a lot of us out there who are audiophiles, me included. I love the fact that it's got the 3D sound, it's got Dolby Atmos built in. You could buy 2 of these, buy an Echo Sub, which is the subwoofer, and you would have a full 7.1 virtual 7.1 theatre surround sound system in your home, which is pretty cool. And it's going to cost you, what, under $600 to do that? So I like this idea. And
yeah, I like the idea
music.
that you can pair them together, especially with the sub, to give yourself that really kind of that immersive 3D surround sound. You know what? I kind of agree in terms of the audiophile in me will like this device. It's really cool. The design, though, is such a ripoff. It looks just like the HomePod. It's got that material kind of rounded look design with this interesting cutout down the middle. Looking at some B-roll here,
yeah,
you
I was hearing about this.
But it makes sense because if you think about, you know, the low frequencies and the sub that's built into a speaker, you want those to dissipate nicely. And in order to do that, they've created the opening.
I believe it's the size of a small watermelon. Does that add up to you, Mark? Can you see it there?
Yeah, I guess I can see it next to a small watermelon. But you know what? We're going to have to put that to the test when they send us one. I'm going to buy a small watermelon, and I'm going to buy my Amazon Echo Studio and see which one actually adds up. But yeah, no, it's definitely one of the cooler devices. What about the glasses? I mean, they've got a glasses and a ring. These are kind of gimmicks, aren't they?
Oh yes, for sure. I mean, these are what's called day one edition products, which means they're just trialing this, they're just testing the water. Essentially, the Echo frames are glasses with speakers built into them. The speakers are actually on the arms of the glasses, and they fire the audio into your ear. It sounds great in theory. Bose have already done this with the Bose AR frames. That means they have got augmented reality built into them, which actually creates some really nice effects if you've ever tried it. But these Echo frames are essentially the same thing, but without the augmented reality. So I'm not entirely sure about this.
Yeah, you know, before I had my LASIK surgery, I would see myself buying these for fun. But now, what am I going to do? Put sunglass frames in them and see, just find another way to talk to the device. This is where the loop is kind of interesting. So this is an actual ring that goes on your finger that has some haptic feedback, so you know when it's listening to you. Has a built-in microphone, and you hold it up to your ear, very kind of clandestine style, and you can hear it respond to you. Again, as you said, kind of day one edition, very limited run. I think they're just playing with ideas and showing that, hey, we can not only come up with ideas, but we can put them in your hands right now, and you're going to be our guinea pigs.
Yeah, I'll say one thing, Mark. I think that there was a missing piece of kit this time around, something I've been looking forward to, and that is Lady A in the bathroom. Why was there nothing that didn't require a cord that you couldn't just take into the bathroom with you? I mean, obviously they brought out Flex, which means you can put it in pretty much any room with a power outlet, but you can't do that with something in the bathroom, and I think that's a missed opportunity in the garden as well. I mean, Sonos have covered that this time around. They've brought out a new product which is built for outside, water resistant, handy for if it starts raining or it's just a bit wet, or even again for the bathroom, it can handle the condensation. Nothing like that from Amazon this time around. So I think, yeah, it was a good event, 15 good products. I sometimes think they spread themselves so thin. However, I'll still try out the Echo Studio and probably love it.
Guys, thank you for being here, and of course, thank you for sending in your feedback. Feedback at AMI.ca is the email address. On Twitter, it's at DoubleTapCanada with the hashtag AskDoubleTap. We always get to your feedback, and whether we do on the show or not, we always get back to it, we promise. Thank you guys for being here. Stephen, thank you, as always, for being here. On behalf of Stephen Scott, I am Mark Aflalo. We will see you again next week.
For more great Double Tap TV content, visit AMI.ca/DoubleTap.
Hosted by Mark Aflalo and Stephen Scott. Editing and graphics, Mark Aflalo and Will Attar. Production assistants, Wendy Kaufman. Integrated Described Video Specialist, Ron Rickford. Coordinating producer, Jennifer Johnson. Director Production, Karen Nye. Director Programming, Brian Perdue. VP Programming and Production, John Melville. President and CEO, David Arrington. Copyright 2019, Accessible Media, Inc.